all on a level plane.
Thank you all for coming on this beautiful spring day. My name is Dick Emmert. As a former teacher, one of the great joys of my life has been to watch young people as they blossom into young adults and go out and take on the world and make a difference. That's why it gives me such pleasure to introduce our guest today. I've known Mike since he was a young attorney struggling to make a go of it in his private practice. I saw him take on an almost impossible race as the Oneida County District Attorney and win by a landslide in an awesome come-from-behind race. I watched with pride as he transformed the District Attorney's office into one of proactive leadership. And I have to say I was absolutely delighted when he said he had it with the policies in Washington, he was going to run for Congress, and he won not once, but twice. But more than election victories, what's impressed me most is how Mike has grown at each step of the way. His mastery of the issues, his savvy about what it takes to make the system work, and above all, his willingness to listen. After all, being a good listener is important for one who aspires to represent us. And he listens because he cares about you, he cares about this community, he cares about Central New York. So it gives me great pleasure today to introduce someone who truly represents you, Representative Michael Arcuri.
Wow. Well, thank you. I'm just going to take it in for a second because this is awesome. Not only to be surrounded by family and so many great friends, but to have an outstanding day like this, which we don't see a lot of in upstate New York. But this is beautiful. Thank you all very much for being here today. You know, the thing about being raised in the Mohawk Valley in Central New York that's unmistakable is that we share a common heritage of resilience, innovation, and hope. We're brought up with uncommon small-town family values, a desire to do what our families and our neighbors expect of us, no matter how difficult those choices are. During the past year, Congress has dealt with some of the most important issues facing America in generations. We've had to implement sweeping changes to shore up our economy. We're fighting 2 wars, and we've been charged with fixing a broken healthcare system. At the same time, Congress hasn't seen such divisions in ideology since before the Civil War. And because of this partisan division, there are intense pressures from both sides to enact legislation for the sake of creating the perception of progress, or worse yet, the lack thereof. But let's talk about progress for a minute. Years ago, generations ago, we built great things here. We built great companies. We did great things. We fought a decisive battle in the Revolutionary War at Arcuri. The Underground Railroad freed black Americans right here in upstate New York. Women's rights became a reality here in upstate New York. We built a great canal, a transportation wonder. We fought a great war of which my father was a veteran. And this station, renovated to its present grandeur because of government involvement with funding from my predecessor, Congressman Sherry Boehlert. We built great companies like Revere Copper, Nucor Steel, Remington Arms that defined our communities. We can and are building and doing great things today. You know, government works best when it enables. And what I mean by that is that government doesn't create jobs, and I know many of you have heard me say that in the past. It has to create an environment that enables business to thrive and to create the jobs. And businesses work best when labor, business, large and small, and consumers are all on a level playing field. And my role as your representative is to ensure that that happens, that we keep the playing field level. That is a recipe for success. That is the engine for growth. And that is a necessity for job creation. Since I was first elected to Congress in 2006, my office has worked tirelessly to build on the assets we have and not lament about what we don't. We didn't create this economic environment, and I refuse to play the finger-pointing blame game that has resulted in nothing more than gridlock. No, that's no longer acceptable. That is not the order of the day. We must do more. That is why I've taken concrete steps to do something about it. Steps as bold as the WPA was in 1932 during the Great Depression, as bold as the grand experiment of the Erie Canal just a few feet from here, as bold as this magnificent train station that we meet in today. And believe it or not, 100 years ago when they built this, people thought that it was a waste of money. And look we are still using it and admiring its grandeur today. We are finding ways to strengthen our local economies by building on the foundations of what we have. In the first half of the year alone, we have seen new initiatives and legislation that will add jobs and strengthen our communities. Real money flowing into our region to help rebuild our infrastructure, develop business and jobs in new economic sectors like high tech, green energy, and cybersecurity. Perfect example of the recovery bill funding working here at home is the $12.6 million awarded to Centro, our local bus company, of which $7.6 million was reinvested directly into our local economy through the purchase of 19 Orion buses built right here in Oriskany at our facility by local workers, your neighbors, your relatives, and your friends. In addition, 250 more buses have been built for transit authorities around the country as a direct result of the Recovery Act. And think about this. That means and that ensures that the 590 people that work at Orion will continue to be employed. That is a great thing. Over $150 million will be used to begin high-speed rail construction of what is actually a project that's more speed rail and more reliable rail, which I call the Erie Canal of our generation. This will open corridors from as far away as Chicago through Niagara Falls in the west, through the heart of our district to New York City and Washington. Now, some say that mass transit will never work in upstate New York. I doubt the 590 employees at Orion would agree with that, nor the thousands in Auburn, Rome, Utica, Ithaca, Broome counties that rely on buses to get to and from work every day, and rely on buses to get to the doctor's office and the grocery store. No, I say that kind of backward philosophies is what have saddled our region for too long, and will guarantee that we continue to live in the past and not see and embrace the kind of change that is knocking at our door if we are bold enough to seize it. That is what it's about. That's what our future vision is. That's what our region is all about. That's what we can achieve together.